You're obviously an old hand at coming to this particular air show. What do you hope to see coming out of this show, especially given a lot of instability internationally at the moment?
I think the air show once 2 years is a really very exciting moment for all the industry relevant ecosystem together to share the information, to re-establish and strengthen the partnership, and also very important to really discuss about also those hot issues as of today. And for this time, I think we have quite a lot of the Chinese customer come to visit us in the Paris Airshow, and we have also a lot of Chinese suppliers, ecosystem. They have a super interest to understand what's happening in this aviation world and what kind of role they can play and what kind of value they can bring to strongly support this ecosystem. So we have a lot of meetings, talks for all the suppliers and customer side.
We'll get on to that, but before we go on, it's hard to ignore that horrific crash, the Air India crash in northern India. How much of an impact does that have, do you think, in general, on the aviation industry?
I think first of all, we should pay a huge condolences to all the lives lost in this aircraft accident, and also to all of those people, their loved ones, their family members. I think it's a very bad moment for all of them. We should pay our heartfelt condolences to them. The second thing is that I think safety is always the top priority of this industry. No one should ignore the safety. Look at what's the loss impact on the global industry and also on the human being, on the families. We should understand safety is really the most important priority of this industry. And by the way, I think now there is investigations already started. At this moment, we should refrain ourselves in terms of speculation of root cause or reasons for this tragedy. But we will keep a close monitoring to see if there are any conclusion on this accident. I think it's lessons in this industry we all need to learn in order to keep the safety record and keep the confidence of the air travelers.
As you say, it doesn't help to speculate, and it's too early to look at what this investigation will actually decide and agree on. Does it, though, do you fear, undermine consumer passengers' confidence?
As I said, that we all look at the investigation result, and I think to have an investigation result and have all the industry to look at it, find a ways to cure those root causes is really help to enhance the travelers' confidence on the air travel.
You mentioned that there are lots of your countrymen here, lots of people from different companies. In which sectors are they actively being interested in, all this heightened interest from China?
I think the first thing they are interested in is that, China is a huge market. There is a strong demand of aircraft after the COVID. I think most of the Chinese airlines come here to look at the OEM, discuss with the OEM to see whether there are cooperation opportunities, win-win opportunities with each other. It's not only limited to those passenger aircraft, narrow body or wide body. It could be also extended to cargo aircraft. They are not only talking about aircraft, it could be also extended to the services. Because when an aircraft has delivered to the customer, they need OEM support a lot technically, and support and services is super important for them to run the aircraft in an efficiency and safety way. So there are a lot of discussions on these kind of things. Also on the supply side, you see they have a lot of interesting as well.
And what are the opportunities that you see for Airbus in China with this interest?
The situation is that first of all, China market used to be 20% of the global market. Our market forecast says that it will continue to be 20% of the market in the next 20 years. And if you look at China fleet today, Airbus China fleet is already the largest single country Airbus fleet. However, the domestic travel has not yet become the biggest one. They will become biggest one in the earliest of the 2030s. And the international traffic is also growing very fast. So I think definitely it's a huge market potential here. But we come to work with China as a long-term reliable partner with China is not only because of the market. Even it's super important, but it's also because in this market we find a lot of competitiveness, resilience in the current supply chain. Of course, we need to co-develop together with our partners here in China. Another thing we are super interested about is really on the innovation side as well, where we need to thinking about how to leverage the China tech strengths for the benefit of Airbus competitiveness in the not only short term but also in the long term future.
So you're looking long term. Long term, does that mean having more production of Airbus aeroplanes and passenger airlines inside China? And what's your strategy there? How will you expand that?
Definitely, at this moment, there is a huge explosive global demand on both narrow body and wide body aircraft, on both passenger aircraft and cargo aircraft. So one of the top strategic priority of this company as Airbus is try to make a smooth industrial ramp up to meet all those customer demand. China is an imperatively important role to play in this industrial ramp up. We have one line in China for the single-aisle aircraft final assembly. We are in the process to develop a second line with two lines. That means we are almost 20% of the global single-aisle, wide, narrow-body manufacturing capacity, which fits quite well with 20% of the global market. So what I want to say is that industrial ramp-up is top priority of this company, and we are an imperative part of this industrial ramp-up.
And do you foresee, or would you like to see in the future, extending that to have more than two lines of production in China?
I think as this industry, we need to first focus on the quality, then the speed. We have the line 1 start operation at 2008. It delivered a lot of success, which convinced us that we have a right partnership with our Chinese partner. We find the China market is really somewhere we deserve to have further investment. This is why we set the line 2. And the line 2 itself has not yet entered into operation. It will enter into operation at the end of this year, beginning of next year. It will take time to really have reached the industrial maturity of the line 2. I think if that is a successful story again, that definitely we are open to discuss further cooperation opportunities. Maybe not in the another one line, but there are plenty of things we can discuss how to cooperate to find the win-win solution.
Because quite obviously China, with its huge market, is buying all kinds of aeroplanes and will have a contract in place to buy new planes. We understand that negotiations are in place now. So it sort of makes sense for you as Chief Executive of Airbus in China to try and develop an even bigger capacity inside the country, doesn't it?
I would say that at this moment we deliver around 20% of the aircraft to China market, which is let's say around 100 to 150 aircraft. With the two lines, we can fit this very well already.
You're in that negotiating period with Airbus, with China, to buy and sell planes. How far are you down that road?
You're talking about the negotiation with our customer?
Exactly, yeah.
I think if you look at after COVID, at 2023, the travel starts to regain momentum for growth. And 2024, the overall passenger volume has already exceeded the pre-COVID peak level. But that is mainly contributors on the domestic traffic side. On the international traffic, it's still lag behind the pre-COVID level in 2024. But look at the Q1 of this year, things are totally changed. Even international traffic start to exceed the 2019 level already. So we see the market trend, which gives our airline customer also a lot of confidence about the future. I think they have a huge demand for single-aisle aircraft, wide-body aircraft, and freighter as well. So we have good products today. Of course, the slots itself is a big issue, where we don't have an early slot could be offered due to the constraint on the industrial ramp-up. But in this case, I think we are in the discussion with all the airlines. Let's see. If there are good news, we will immediately announce it.
I also want to ask you about the environment and about sustainability in aviation, because there are, as you know, those targets in Europe that include aviation to be net zero by 2050. What does Airbus hope to do in general and also in China to try and increase more planes with lower emissions?
Oh, that is a very good question. I think there are many ways to decarbonize in this industry. By the way, aviation is 2% to 2.5% of the global emission, and which inside of it, more than 1% is Airbus, right? So we bear the responsibility to decarbonize our industrial process, our upstream supply chain, and most importantly, how to help our customer to decarbonize. And one of the things Airbus could do is that develop a new generation of aircraft. Each aircraft generation will means kind of at least 15% of less emission. So that is very important. We can also use a new generation to replace the old generation. The second thing we can do is also like air traffic management, how to optimize those kind of things can also help. But fundamentally, if we want to achieve the ambitious target to reach carbon neutrality at 2050, taking into consideration that the global fleet double every 15 years, that is a big challenge, right?
It's a huge challenge.
It's a huge challenge. So I think one of the fundamental solutions, technically also viable at this moment, is really SAF, which means sustainable aviation fuel, which will contribute a lot for this 2050 carbon neutrality ambition of the aviation industry. In the SAF industry, we are facing two big problems. One thing, the availability. One thing is affordability. On the availability side, actually these two questions is linked with each other. If the production itself become bigger and bigger, the price will go down. What kind of role we as Airbus can play? We play a role of a catalyst. We want to promote the R&D of the SAF, not only the SAF by used coconut oil, but also other new solutions. We want to promote manufacturing of the SAF. We want to promote the discussion between government of different continents to work with each other to develop regulations to promote SAF production and also manufacturing and customer usage. So we have many things. Please.
Last question, if I may. So how much could international tariffs and tax on goods, in a way, impact Airbus internationally?
That is an important question. We are keep monitoring the evolution of all those trade dispute and trade conflicts. I think we are also systematically need to evaluate what is the impact, not only on Airbus, but on whole industrial supply chain system, in terms of cost, in terms of operation disruptions, what are the impacts. And I think at this moment, we see there will be a profound impact on this industry. We need to be handled. I would say that the fundamental target of Airbus is really to urge the industry, urge the government to go back to the 1979 the Civil Aviation Trade Agreement, which is an international agreement make the aircraft and the aircraft parts import export duty free all over the world. That is a fundamental important thing for the internationalize of the supply chain, flourish of the whole aviation system, and we want to go back to that one. Of course, it's subject to a lot of negotiations between different nations. We need to keep a close monitoring and try to be adaptable to all those changes, if any.